If in his dream he goes to Lagash, that means he's going to be robbed. Lagash is a city, L-A-G-A-S-H. If he goes to set a wood pile on fire, he will see days of sadness. If he eats the eye of his friend, I've had many times where I dreamt that I ate my friend's eyeball. If he eats the eye of his friend, his bad luck is straightened out, and his property will prosper. If one gives him a seal of red stone, he will have sons and daughters. If one gives him a wheel, he will have twins, like a round wheel. What the heck? We'll get to that. If one gives him wine, his days will be short. Right? If somebody gives you wine in a dream, that means you're going to die young. Occasionally, the diagnosis of the meaning of the dream is more rational than it may appear at first glance. Wheels, for instance, usually came in pairs, right? There's usually two of them on a cart that an ox pulls. In other cases, the dreams are similar to those discussed by Freud and other modern analysts, right? Like, why would I just be walking around the street naked? And they say, well, this means you're invulnerable. You don't think anything can hurt you. Or else something else maybe, you know. But the explanations are of a different order. Mesopotamian men, however, evidently worried and dreamed as much as have those in more recent ages. Not only that, but they were less able to explain them, more worried by them, more fascinated by them, more captivated by the nature of dreams. More confused by them, less able to explain what they were and why they were. It had to mean something, these dreams. You sleep at night, you have to sleep at night, and then you get messages at night. It's got to mean something. Alright, on we go. In early Manchester G Star, we've been coming from, we skip a bit, and then it says it is time now to take a mighty leap all the way down to 500 BC when the Persians had united the Near East into one empire. Now, we're going to put him on the shelf for a minute because I don't care for the mighty leap. We are, after all, talking about the rise of civilization here. And let's not skip the part where they've just got city-states together all the way down to when Persia unites everything from Egypt to India. Let's not skip that. Let's look at that. So, we're going to look at the Assyrian Empire and civilization of Assyria in History of the Near East and Greece by Albert A. Trevor. Albert A. Trevor. T-E-R-V-E-R. And we're just going to go on page 93. Now, it just so happens that I went over a little of this information in my Ancient Greek series, but only what's going to be the very last of this bit on Assyria, because I just gave just a paragraph. I said we're not going to do much, this is about Greece, let's skip over Assyria. So now it's a good treatment on Assyria, not given before even in the history of Greece. Here we are. The land, page 93. The area of ancient Assyria is comparable to that of Great Britain. I believe he means in size. It was bounded on the north and the south by the Armenian highlands and the Babylonian plains. So there's mountains and highlands to the north and the Babylonian plains to the south, and on the east by the Zagros range beyond the Tigris River. The Assyrians never succeeded permanently in expanding to the north and the east, and here later proved to be their especially dangerous frontiers, to the north and the east. Problems. They had waves of barbarians and stuff come from that area. The Mongols came from that area later on. To the west, way later on. To the west, on the other hand, since there was no natural boundary and no strong power intervening after the fall of the Hittite Empire, they were finally able to expand to the sea, all the way to the sea. The land between the rivers is a rolling plateau broken by limestone rocks suitable for pasture of sheep and goats. Beyond the Tigris were wooded hills and fertile, well-watered valleys for grain and fruits. The hills beyond were rich in metal, but Assyria proper was not well endowed with resources. Now, pause there for a second. It's very odd. They were not an iron-rich country. Turned out to be the first nation that used iron weapons on a massive scale. It had some iron, but was obliged to seek copper in Armenia, tin, and perhaps in Persia, Central Asia, Asia Minor, or the Danube region, silver in Cilicia, and gold in the region of the Upper Nile. The climate was much cooler than in the alluvial plains to the south. This fact, and the necessity of fighting their way for centuries against Babylon and the cruder peoples to the north and east, the more barbarian areas, produced a vigorous military civilization. Right? So on the south they have Babylon, the ancient massive city of Babylon and the kingdom of Babylonia. And to the north of them they've got hills and mountainous areas and uplands and stuff. They can't come to have power over that, and they can't conquer what is like 3/4 of the population of the Fertile Crescent, the Babylonian area. So they end up just being very warlike, the Assyrians. This is what it says here drove them to that. Even after they had conquered an empire westward to the coast, the Assyrians remained essentially an inland people, chiefly agricultural and military, whose trade was largely carried on by foreigners. Many a country had the Jews operate their trade for them. Local merchants just didn't do it. They had Jews do it for them. Alright, next section about the Assyrian monuments. Until the middle of the 19th century, the Assyrians were known to us only through the Old Testament and meager references from the Greek historians. Today, the archaeologists have made them a very real people, of whose civilization we possess an intimate knowledge. Their great capitals, now here's 4 capitals. It's going to name Assur, A-S-S-U-R, Kala, K-A-L-A-H, or K-A-L-H-U, and Dur-Sharukin, D-U-R-S-H-A-R-R-U-K-I-N, and Nineveh. We know Nineveh. That's the last one, the one they were the last capital they had when they fell. These capitals have all been thoroughly explored. The detailed military annals and sculptured reliefs that lined their palace walls, the remains of their massive palaces and temples, and the thousands of clay tablets found in the ruins of the royal library of Assurbanipal, including official correspondence, business archives, historical annals, and religious literature. There's quite a lot of stuff we got from the Assyrians, mind you. All this reveals to us in detail the imperial history, life, ideals, and interests of this conquering people. A small tablet recently discovered in the palace of Sargon II at Khorzabad in Iraq lists all the Assyrian kings from about the 24th century BC, that's just after the pyramids were built, to 746 BC. That's like 1500 years. This furnishing invaluable new data on the early Assyrian chronology. Although the city-state of Assur, A-S-S-U-R, in the 3rd millennium BC was strongly influenced by the cultures of Sumer and Akkad, A-K-K-A-D, it was not entirely dominated politically until the time of Hammurabi of Babylon. Even before Hammurabi, Hammurabi is the one who did Hammurabi's Code, one of the earliest and most well-known of the ancient law codes written on rocks and placed about the towns and cities early on when law was first being set down in public. Even before Hammurabi, Assyria was already well advanced in civilization. Its traders were even then enriching themselves with the silver of Cilicia. The cuneiform Assyrian business records from this period, found in Cappadocia in Central Asia Minor, reveal a remarkable development of Assyrian trade at this early date. A lot of trade going on. Active empire, clear back in the over 2000 BC. Small bars and round pieces of Sicilian silver, stamped with the weight and the name of the temple issuing it, became the medium of exchange which Assyrian traders carried throughout the Near East. That's right, with the name of the temple issuing it. So you may have read the Bible and you know about Jesus and the money traders, and they went in the temples and turned over the tables of the money traders who are always hanging out in the temples. Why? And temples and money go way, way, way back. Way back in ancient Assyria, where you had bars of silver marked this was produced at such and such a temple. There you are. Even clay tablets of credit, representative of a stated number of shekels,